Hey, my guys. Welcome to episode 30 of the My Guys Magic podcast. Very special episode. We have a special guest here with us today, and I'm Pete. I'm here with Joe, and then I'll let Joe introduce our guest. So, Joe?
So yeah, special guest here today. We competed in Pro Tour Lord of the Rings together. My plan was to have him on when Pioneer became a format again. I would say we were both friends or both big fans of that format. Former RC champion as he took down RC Dallas in 2023, a former Worlds competitor, and most recently qualified for NRG champs through this past weekend's team event. So I'd like to welcome Bradley Schlesinger to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on. Happy to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, dude, it's great to have you. I was just like I said, I think I'm glad you've top finished a sweet event because I don't know how long we were gonna have to wait before Pioneer became a format
We may be waiting
for some time.
an indefinite amount of time.
Yeah,
Is that what we were waiting for to have you on?
that was in my mind. That was in my mind. I was like, when can I have Bradley on so we can brag that there's another RC champion who's a friend of the cast, right? Like, so yeah, glad we didn't have to wait 5 more years or whatever. So yeah, dude.
Welcome, Bradley.
Thank you.
So let's kind of just start by telling us a little bit about your Magic origin story.
Yeah, magic origins of Bradley. Yes. Let's see. So, I didn't get into magic until after I graduated college. So after I graduated college in 2017, I moved to New Orleans, and I was living there. I was playing board games. I was really a big fan of the board game Dominion at that time, so I played that a lot. And I would go to this board game meetup at a local cafe in New Orleans. And there, the organizer of the board game meetup, he taught me how to play Magic with his decks. So I got the basics there. And then in 2018, I moved to Atlanta. And I didn't know anyone in Atlanta, but I knew how to play Magic. And I was able to use the store locator to find the nearest store to me, which was at the time was called Dabbers Cards and Games. And I met a lot of good friends out there. That people who, when I still go to Atlanta, I go and see them to this day. So
Nice.
that was a big for me. I learned how to play Magic. Started drafting out there. The most recent set was Core 19, and then Guilds of Ravnica was the first set that came out while I was playing. In 2019, beginning of 2019 is when I moved back to LA, and I kept up with it there, and been basically just playing ever since. Right as the first GP I went to was GP Portland at the end of 2019, and I also went to um, GP Phoenix. It was part of the Players Tour, and then that was all. This was all right before COVID started, so played a bit online. Back in those days, I was playing Selesnya tokens. I don't know if
Nice.
you remember that deck. It was March to the Multitudes, Venerated Loxodon, and Flower Flourish. Yeah, just putting some tokens out there and pumping them up. It was a lot of fun. I've sort of, I don't know, that's still part of my heart, but, I've generally been playing sort of the more meta decks recently. Although I would say that, the big success I had in 2023, RC and Pioneer, was Gruul Vehicles, which was Gruul Seekers, I called it. It's sort of, it was designed to sort of beat up on the Rakdos midrange. It had a very good matchup into Rakdos midrange, which was one of the top decks at the time. And you sort of, against the other big deck like Mono Green, you sort of just held on by the skin of your teeth and hoped everything lined up well. But that's what you can do when you're playing the Llanowar Elf deck. I know it's also sort of like you got that in your hand, you can do almost anything. So
Yeah, man, that was such a good tournament. This is obviously a great tournament for both of us, right? That was my first qualification as well. And yeah, that's where I met you. I introduced myself to Bradley by hoisting him into the air after he won the tournament. Pete, you know, I remember coming home from the tournament and talking to Pete. He was like, "Dude, I saw you on coverage picking that dude up. Like, do you know him? I didn't know you."
Yep, yep.
And you can kind of see if you look at that coverage, Bradley kind of looks down at me like, "Who the hell is this guy picking me up?" Like, but so that kind of
do you remember?
stems.
Sorry, do you
Go.
remember you got in trouble because from your Airbnb
Oh
because you let me?
yeah,
Oh my God, you got like a
whatever.
really bad review.
Yeah, they were. Who cares? That person was a loser. So basically,
For context, yeah, if you want to
yes.
go
So
through.
I was staying at Airbnb by myself in downtown Dallas. It was kind of like last minute accommodations. Bradley had to kind of cancel his travel home. Didn't have a place to stay that night. My Airbnb was until the next day, and so I was like, "Yeah, you can crash with me. There's a couch there." And he's like, "That's perfect." And so whatever, no big deal. We went to dinner. Some people went to the airport. We go back to the Airbnb. We both had early flights, super early flights. So woke up in the morning and left. Didn't think anything of it. And then I got a really bad review because I invited some strange man into the Airbnb because they had, like video on the front. I had a really hard time getting into that Airbnb too because their instructions for entry were not very clear. So I had to like enter a building and then there was all these codes. It was kind of a nightmare. But yeah, so there was that. But
That's
the whole
typical Joe though, bringing strange men into his Airbnbs.
shut up, dude. So the whole randomly hoisting Bradley into the air stems from a tradition that Collector Legion has, which is kind of the common group that I met Bradley through. So I lived in Southern California for a few years and hung out with all the Collector Legion guys. Bradley had already moved away from Southern California by the time I was there, but whenever somebody would win an event, doesn't matter if it was a PPTQ or whatever, generally we would hoist them into the air and take a picture. And there were some big homies out in Southern California, and it was kind of crazy picking those dudes up. I thought for sure somebody was going to get injured one day. I'm sure some people did. But, so yeah, I was just like, yeah, this is a tradition. We're going to pick them up in the air. And I'll introduce myself after the fact.
It's a good time, a lot of fun. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got to meet each other just at that time, and then we traveled together to Barcelona a few weeks,
Yes.
basically just a month later.
And that was great. Bradley's a Spanish speaker. Having him show me the way people do it in Barcelona, having dinner at 11 o'clock at night, the European way.
Well, Spain's even unique in Europe for that.
Yeah.
They eat really late.
Yeah, that was all good. It was fun. And I forgot, what was your friend's name? He was such a cool dude.
Nacho.
Nacho.
Yeah, he's gonna come visit actually me
Nice.
here in Milwaukee in July. So really looking forward to that too. It'll be the first time we've seen each other in person since 2023. So
Man.
yeah,
Well, yeah, tell him I said what's up when he comes.
we'll do.
If he remembers me. He probably...
You did.
Oh,
He
dude.
calls you like the football player. Look,
Yeah.
looks like the
Yeah.
All-American.
The oversized American dude. So yeah, so I guess I just kind of want to hear about your tournament experience and how you came about your deck decision for Modern. Any kind of like key takeaways you have from your most recent tournament experience. And I know team events are always special, so if you have any special thoughts on that too.
Yeah. So our team, I would say the interesting part happened for the previous event. I was a last-minute substitute for this team. These are folks who I knew from my teammates Tig and Evan. So last event, it was Legacy Modern Standard. And so Evan was playing Standard, Tig was playing Legacy, and I was playing Modern. I was playing Boros Energy. That was sort of the deck that I had. And it's like, hey, when you bring me on last minute, this is what I got. This is what I'm going to play. And so they brought me on, and we finished second. So we lost in the finals. And this was, was it March? Yeah, it was in March. So it was NRG in the Chicago area. I believe it was Elgin, Illinois. Finished second. So when we had our good finish, we were like, oh, hey, let's run it back for the next one. Let's run it back for Indy. And they announced the formats were Modern, Legacy, Pauper. And so we had Tig, who was playing Legacy before. He switched to Pauper, and that put Evan on Legacy because I sort of was like, I don't know Legacy. I know a little bit about Pauper. I have had a Zorius Gates as a Pauper deck, but I was sort of they were like, nah, you play Boros. You're the Boros guy. Because I mean, last event I did, the team event, I don't really keep track of the personal records, but I did win quite a bit for the team in the previous event. I did lose in the finals, which was unfortunate, but this event, I did not win quite as much, so I had it, But that's one of the charming parts about the team events is that I don't know. It's just like I feel like if I was, I don't know my exact record, but let's say it was like 3-5 or less than positive. Being with the team really kept the morale up. You know, when you play the match and say it doesn't go well, or like they have the answer that for you. You maybe if they don't have that answer at that time, you win, and then so it's sort of like oh, did they have it? They had it. You could just go next, and being with those guys who I'd known from the previous event, and that one was where like, hey, like it's very easy to say, hey, don't, who cares about the individual record? Don't worry when you're the one winning, and then when you're the one losing, it's like, gosh, I'm sorry, guys, but we had we had a good time, and we were just able to keep like these guys are good and keeps the morale up. Yeah, I mean, even though I wasn't doing a ton of winning, it was a good vibes for the team event, which is something that I hadn't really gotten a good appreciation for until then. So
Nice.
so yeah, I was happy. Happy
Nice,
to get
yeah,
it.
and it's easier not to get down on yourself when your team wins the round anyway, even though you lost, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There was
It's
like
pretty cool.
in the semifinals, I'm paired. We're on the draw because it's all team events. I'm paired against Affinity. I lose like they have
Kappa.
their best draw. Yeah, it's like turn 2 Kappa, and it's I can't keep up, so I lose in 20 minutes. And then the legacy match is like to determine the match. It goes on for maybe like an hour and a half. So we're just like,
Wow.
I don't know much about legacy, but I'm like, watching along, trying to support as much as I can. But that's sort of where it's like, I can't be too upset, I guess, about my match because when your teammates there, you want to make sure you can support best you can. I'm sort of there. I'm not really giving as much advice, but sort of just being like emotional support, I guess, or like setting the board. And then Tig, who was playing Popper and then had played Legacy last time, he knew a bit more about what's going on in the format, so he had more ideas. And then if there was something that was like, well, do we want to think about this? I'd talk to him, and not distract Evan, who was actually piloting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, it was, I was just, I'll play my match, and then if I have like a question about a keep or a mull or a play, it was, sort of turnover. But I don't know, I think for 99% of the time, you're playing Magic as a tournament format one-on-one, so you can make all those decisions by yourself. It's just when it affects other people, you want to sort of get them invested too. It's like, hey, I'm going to keep this one lander. Is that cool? And it's like, well, but it's like, I really want to. Look how good all these cards are.
Yeah, I hear other people talk about not soliciting input from their teammates at all during the event, which I don't know. I don't feel like it's as teamy doing it that way, And I think that a lot of that just stems from like, hey man, you're my teammate. This is kind of like a 1v1 game. Make the best decision you're going to make. But I definitely get the consulting people during key decisions, as I have done.
Right, that's one of the benefits of doing the team event, right?
Right.
Yeah, three minds is better than one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Sometimes it's kind of
Depends on the 3 minds.
well, yeah, certainly does.
The thing is, if you have actually everyone like riding along, you can never get a bluff through if you're the pilot, because whenever you do something that's not like the most consensus or obvious thing, everyone's gonna be like looking at you funny, and then unless you need to come up. This is where going to the next level with the team. You need some sort of like code to be able to tell your team like, hey, I know I'm like up to something, but just ride along with me. Like I know it's gonna look weird, but trust here, as opposed to like, I think I'm just gonna like attack my 2/2 into their 3/3. I just miss
Sure.
it. I'm not missing it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So, but like when you do, it's like wait, hold on, what?
Yeah, like
So,
what? And then you're
that's
like
something where
whispering
it's-
in each other's ear, like, and it's like, dude, just. More often than not, I find that in the team event, if you have too much input, you just kind of get decision paralysis and
Yeah.
the wheels spin for too long. And they're like, Judge, can we like speed this up? So, yeah,
I get that. We played a team event, Joe. Did we not?
we did. Yeah, you were our limited seat. I played standard. I was playing Vivi Cauldron, and Mr. Ancio was playing blue-white control in modern. And yeah, I think for that one, Matt and I had no business giving you any advice on the limited format, right? So you were just chilling that whole
Do
time.
my thing.
And
Well, we
Matt and
built the
I,
pool together. That helped.
you were like, "What's the final cut?" And I was like, "I think it's
Oh yeah.
probably this, but I could see either way." It's like that was my only thought. So, which there is a lot of. I'll take some credit. There is a lot of thought in that last cut. No,
That's
I
where you.
that was good. I think we should have did way better, but just kind of a couple bad breaks, right? Kind of lost at the wrong time. Matt, here I am. He thinks I'm blaming him, but the reality was he asked me a question and I gave him bad advice, and he should have just went with what he knew, and we probably would have had to draw that round, and maybe you know because he didn't lose against Titan the rest of that weekend, so
Oh,
nor did I when I played, but it's all good. It's all
oh,
good. You live and you learn.
yes, sir.
Yep. You guys became famous that weekend.
That's
Twitter
right. From
Twitter
fire
famous.
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old
That
fire
was fun.
shoes. It was fun. All right, so we have the Cincinnati RC coming up this weekend. Bradley, you're traveling there. I'm going there. Pete, your brother's getting married. Best man at the wedding. You've been working on your speech, so we'll miss
Yes,
you.
sir.
You'll be
I'll
there in
miss you guys
spirit.
too. Just go win it for me.
All right. If any one of the crew wins, I'll be happy. I'm
Yes.
I'm just trying to at least requalify. That's like my
Oh
minimum
man.
goal. So yeah. So let's talk about the standard meta. So I dug a little bit into the results from the Tokyo RC and Spotlight London. And so again, if you're not following along by video and you would like to review the information, there's a Dropbox link in the show notes. Take a look at that. If you'd like, we'll be trying to post it on some of our social media accounts so you can check that out there as well. So what I did is I looked at those two events only. I didn't have time to kind of compile any challenge results from MTGO or any other sources. RC Tokyo was won by 4-color control. There were 352 players, and Spotlight London that same weekend was won by Blue White Momo, where there were 602 players. And so I looked at the top 32 of those events, compiled them together, and kind of to present the winners meta, put together this first table here in the center. We're going to talk about each event individually, but I kind of wanted to start with that. So the top 32 percentage of those two events, 14 of those top 64 decks across the two events were Is It Prowess, so 22% of the winners meta. And then the second most popular deck was Spelementals, 17%, which I think most of those came from the Tokyo RC. Selesnya Landfall and Ouroborid were 8 to 9% green-white Ouroborid, which I assume is some take on Matt Nass's list from the PT. And then 4-color control. My prayers have been answered. A control deck doing okay. It's the 5th most popular deck from these events. And then, Is It Lessons, Bant Rhythm, which also includes Selesnya Rhythm for Selesnya Gearhulk, Golgari Midrange, Jeskai Control, Teamer Prowess, which I assume is just Is It Prowess, but with the Elusive Otter. I don't think they're playing any other green cards, if I'm not mistaken.
They might be playing Toph.
What's What's
Oh,
Or
I
no,
think
no, no.
that's
That
a
was the
lessons
teamer
build.
lessons. Never mind. Yep.
Okay.
Bradley, you're right.
And then Blue White Momo, 3% of the top 32. So there was one other one. There was another Blue White Momo in the top of the Japanese and Korean RC. And then there were some one-offs, 4-color Elementals, Allies, Is It Opus, Mardu Discard, which was also in the finals of the London Spotlight. There was one mono green landfall list. So again, most of mono green landfall has pretty much all but shifted to Selesnya landfall. There was a red aggro deck, which is basically it was splashing blue for the snake. I can't I think of the snake that has a adventure spell?
The adventure,
Scalding
the steam
Viper?
clean.
Scalding
Yeah.
Viper, yeah. And it was also splashing blue for the horse, Storm Stallion. Yeah, so that, but it was basically mono red aggro. And one Saltire Reanimator, one Teamer Omni, and then one blue white Prison, or formerly known as blue white Flash, which has been kind of popularized by Zevon Faust's performance from the last 2 Pro Tours. But again, still pretty dominated by the Izzet decks, and then Selesnya Landfall, green-white decks making up about 20%. So anything jumping out with the kind of combination of these 2 tournament results to you guys? Anything in particular?
I hate to say the obvious, but yeah, that's a lot of Steam Vent stacks.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I mean,
I think the standard is still interesting where we have that, those decks at the top, but doesn't feel like it's necessarily so immutable. I mean, from the Pro Tour, we had Landfall was dominating the Izzet decks, and now I think with the Izzet decks, thinking about we really need to be aware and cognizant and have a plan for these Landfall matchups. The win rates have sort of taken normalized a little bit, or you could say. So I think going into this weekend, it's going to be sort of exciting to see. Is it going to be more Izzet? Is Landfall going to have the tools to fight back against Izzet, or is it going to be something else that's sort of bubbling up from under and finding a way to attack those top 2 decks? It reminds me a lot, actually, of the RC, if anyone cares about 2023 Pioneer, but, you had Rakdos Midrange and Mono Green Devotion, and those were sort of like the pillars of the formats, and then it was like, all right, who's going to find a way to have good matchups against both? Because, if you have a good combo Mono Green matchup, then you're going to lose to the fair, grind you out, Rakdos Midrange style, so
yeah.
You never know.
And there was a lot of competing archetypes as well with Pioneer, which is going on certainly in the standard format, right? I think there's probably just as many sets of Magic the Gathering in the standard format as there were in Pioneer at the time. So I just kind of wanted to look briefly at what we had at the PT. And so, yeah, like 38%. I've kind of noticed that it seems like Mono Green Landfall has dropped, whereas Izzet Prowess and Spelementals has still been like kind of the most popular deck, but the meta share between Selesnya Landfall and Mono Green Landfall has seemed to kind of go down a little bit, and maybe that's just because people aren't picking up the white cards for Landfall, or people are trying to not play the most popular deck from the weekend prior. I'm not sure. But
I don't know. If you look at the last 2 weeks on Goldfish or top 8, Selesnya Landfalls at 20% for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Something like that. It surpassed the Izzet decks over the last 2 weeks on those sites.
Okay.
From challenges and stuff.
I mean, and that's what's reflected in the Tokyo RC.
Yeah.
Just
And I
not so
know
much in London.
We didn't talk about the challenges, but the standard challenge yesterday had 104 people in it. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Nice.
And the top 4 was Selesnya Landfall, Excruciator, Marduk Discard, and Izzet Lessons.
All right. Still pretty diverse format. I would say standard's pretty healthy. I know there's a lot of Steam vents going on, but I still think that there are a lot of top performing decks, right? Especially for a standard format.
So which one do you guys think's better, the Selesnya Landfall or the Selesnya Ouroboros?
Well, I mean,
Better's a tough.
Yeah, that.
so let's just look at
Both.
let's look at the data, right? We'll let the data speak to itself, I guess. Like, so in Tokyo, Selesnya Landfall was 15% of day 1 and 12.5% of the top 32. So it pretty much converted 1-to-1. Selesnya Landfall was 9% of day 1 in London, 6.3% of the top 32, so a little less than 1-to-1 conversion. Green-White Ouroboros was 4% of Tokyo day 1, 6.3% of the top 32, and Noah Ma took it into the top 8. A little bit better conversion there. And then 4.4% of day 1 in London, so similar overall day one meta share between London and Tokyo for green, white, Ouroboros, but then 9.4% of top 32. Much better conversion from day one into the top 32 in Tokyo. Oh, wait a second.
That's London.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this one's London.
Disabled.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I feel like maybe I'm not a perfect podcast guest because I don't feel like I could speak definitively, whether or not green, white, Ouroboros or green, white, Landfall is the deck of the weekend. I feel like it's going to come down to a lot of where you think the matchups are or, how comfortable you feel on each of those decks. Certainly for choosing for Cincinnati, those are decks that I think both of them, they may sort of seem simple on the surface, right? Where it's like, oh, I'll just play my cards and then attack. There's kind of a lot more going on if you look a little closer. And I wouldn't want to be, just picking one of those decks up, Friday before the event and trying to play the RC on Saturday. So which one would be better?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
I guess I think
Still undecided.
I think and you're probably a better host than we are. So as a guest, you're doing just fine. I don't think there's anything about we all know that there's no crystal ball, right? We're just trying to make our best interpretation of the data. And
Yeah. There's no right answer or wrong
no,
answers.
definitely not. I think that the data shows that green, white, Ouroboros is doing better than Landfall. My thought is that coming out of the PT, Is It Prowess players and Spell Elementals players were maybe had a little bit more respect for the Landfall matchup and the green deck matchups and adjusted accordingly. And people had their eye on Selesnya Landfall, probably got some reps in against it to know how that matchup was supposed to go. Green, white, Ouroboros, though, has a better main deck matchup against the Is It decks, against Prowess specifically, because of those main deck white cards in Sage of the Skies in particular. And I think that green, white, Ouroboros probably still has a pretty good matchup against Landfall, right? If you can keep, Harmonizer off the battlefield, I don't think you can lose, personally. But if they have that crazy make a giant trampler kill you, I don't think really anybody's beating that.
If I may, sorry, Joe, finish your thought.
You cut us off whenever you want, Bradley. That's
Yes.
guest here.
So something I want to clarify is between green, white, Ouroboros, that was sort of the Matt Nass list that had the rhythms in the sideboard and Sage's main deck, and then if we have Bant Rhythm, that includes green, white decks that have Rhythm main deck, Rhythm for Greater Hoof. My understanding or belief in general is that if you're playing, the Rhythm is better against Landfall because you have a faster, what's called Goldfish. You combo faster and deal lethal damage faster than the Landfall deck can deal lethal damage to you, but you're not as interactive, which is what you need for the Isn't a match, specifically Prowess. You need that for that matchup. So it's sort of but these decks also can blend very close into each other if they're dedicating enough sideboard slots to have that transformational plan, like Matt Ness's deck did. Green, white, Ouroboros deck had Rhythms and Crater Hoof in the sideboard, and it theoretically should have a stronger Landfall matchup than post-board than it does in the
pre-board
game one situation.
Yeah, Matt Nass's list specifically was kind of tailored to beat Prowess main deck, and then sideboard into the green decks, right?
Yeah, he had all his Prowess sideboard cards in the main deck.
Right.
Which was pretty smart.
And I'm sure if we looked at, Bant Rhythm did really well in Tokyo, whereas in London it basically, went 1-1 in the top 32. And there were some lists that weren't really playing blue for Mockingbird, and I kind of lumped Selesnya Rhythm and Bant Rhythm all together. So there's probably a little bit of that loss in the sauce here between what green, white, Ouroboros is basically a rhythm deck, but the rhythms are in the sideboard, whereas, Bant Rhythm, Selesnya Rhythm are in the main deck. I think that's really the only difference. I wanted to talk about just kind of how some of these decks, particularly in London, these kind of new and spicy lists, Mardu Discard, and Blue White Momo, which I think we're aware of what that deck is, but obviously because it won London, it's going to be on people's radars. I'd expect to see a surge in Mardu Discard, Blue White Momo, and probably these control decks with how they kind of dominated, or at least did really well in Tokyo, and did decently in London as well. So let's take a closer look at those lists. So I guess we'll start with the winning list from Tokyo. Kichiro Matsumoto took it all down. He was playing super clean Magic, and I know Pete, kind of coming into the format, I guess I wanted the resonating loot to be the card, right?
Right.
But it looks like it's
trying it out.
Tablet of Discovery. Yeah. So just 4 Tablet of Discovery, 4 Jeskai Rev, 3 Inevitable Defeat, only 2 Consult to Star Torch, 2 Flashback, continuing to be proven wrong about that card, 2 Lightning Helix, 2 No More Lies, 2 Seer, which I feel like Seer is great because you can cast Tablet of Discovery on 3 and then have Seer up. Swallowed by Leviathan is probably the card I like least in this deck. Because
it does look sort of strange on its surface. I haven't read the guide that Alex Rohan and the team Heavy Play Cosmos published, I believe. It was them. So
yeah, I
please
think
don't get mad
Derek,
if I was wrong on which team.
Derek
But
Davis sounds right.
the idea, to me, seems, since it only has one blue pip, as like, you can play the tablet on 4 and then hold that spell up.
Yeah.
It's just looking at it, but I don't know. Could be wrong here, please.
Yeah.
Don't quote me.
I didn't think of it like that. That's great, because then you have a blue and the 2 red from the tablet to counter whatever they do next turn.
Yeah.
Seems good.
I still feel like you're trying to play it on 3 and then just sear something, which is kind of what Ray Saitano?
I don't know, but that's matchup dependent, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. Yeah, 100% right. But I feel like more often than not, whether you're playing against Prowess or a green deck or Momo or some other creature deck, being able to cast Tablet on 3 and then hold up interaction. And so that's why in this guy's list, Ray's list, he has a lot more just like mono red pieces of removal to kind of enact that plan, or at least that's my thought. And he's actually only playing 1 Swallowed by Leviathan, and he's essentially just a blue-red deck that's splashing white for Jeskai Revelation. So he doesn't have any other. He has an Essence Scatter. He has an Essence Scatter and a Swallowed by Leviathan. That's his only counter magic main. So.
And he went undefeated in the Swiss, right?
He went undefeated in the Swiss and then lost to this gentleman whose name I cannot recall from the tournament. I watched some of the coverage, but I cannot read Japanese, so I don't know this guy's name. But they look to be very similar lists. He has 2 3 steps ahead instead of what? Let me see if I can do a side by side. Maybe Broadside Barrage? No, he's got Broadside Barrage. It looks like instead of some of the
Yeah, it's still the same general quantity of Wrath, Slackstorm versus Ill-Timed Explosion, sure.
Yeah. So anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's something different here.
I mean, 3 steps ahead is always cute when you can have a nice artifact to copy.
Yeah.
We've seen that from Lessons, and you can see it here with the tablet, too. Obviously, that's not plan A for the card, but... just having that upside later in the game makes it really feel nice where you're getting to do your game plan like that.
Yeah, I thought one of the interesting innovations that I saw with this just last night was instead of 4 Tablet of Discovery, people were playing like 1 or 2 Resonating Loot, which I thought was interesting. So, something to think about.
Throw the flute in there.
Yeah, dude, let's go. I think that Control also did a lot better at Tokyo because there was a lot more spell elementals in the top performing decks. And I think Spelementals probably has a much tougher matchup against Control than Prowess. Would you guys agree, disagree?
I haven't played the matchup, but it does seem to make sense to me because with Spelementals, you can't start your clock as fast.
Yeah.
You know, with Prowess, they have talent, they have show off, and so they can sort of get in before the control player set up and then protect those elements with counter magic or other protection. Whereas the
Right.
Spelemental deck has to cast their cantrips first and then come out with their creatures. And this is something too, though, where like we were talking about how Seer is nice with the tablet. Seer is not very good against the Spelementals. All their creatures have 5
Right.
toughness, so it's
Yeah.
a little awkward there. But structurally, I think the rest of the deck is set up pretty well to answer what Spelementals is doing from the control side.
Yeah,
I can
just in
see
terms of
control
the
having a good
speed.
time against Spelemental, and then when you go sideboard, it looked like the control decks mostly had access to Rest in Peace, which makes it tough for the Spelementals deck to play through just to get their creatures down in time. They're priced in, or my belief is I haven't played the Spelemental side. They're generally priced into keeping Sunderflock because they need that density of threats, and Sunderflock is pretty weak against control, I'd say.
Yeah.
You have to have a creature in play to play it out, and then maybe because of that play pattern, you are overcommitted to the board, or you can't protect things in the way you'd otherwise want to.
Yeah.
I can definitely see the logic behind why control would have a good Spelementals matchup. But of course, individual games, individual pilot decisions can certainly make all the difference when you get down to the nitty gritty.
Absolutely.
100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, your kind of comment on Seer, I think, is huge there, and it made me think about Firebending Lesson. I couldn't remember how much the kicker for Firebending Lesson did, and it is 5 damage, so
Yeah.
Firebending Lesson isn't a totally dead card against Spelementals. So, yeah, some stuff to think about. Some stuff to think about, especially if this is what I'm going to... Oh, no, I closed it.
That's what you're gonna play, Joe.
I don't know. We'll see. Unless you can prove to me that Mardu discard is where it's at. All right, so I just want to talk about London a little bit, and then we can kind of talk about what we're thinking of playing.
I'm about to expose myself as a fraud when I
As
tell
a
you what
what?
I'm going to play. As a fraud, I have an affinity for a deck that is not high on the meta. And we'll
No,
get there
I-
when we
no-
get there.
There's
I
nothing
think we
wrong
share
with
that list. I think we share that list, and we'll probably talk about that. That's probably the deck I've played most in the standard format. But so yeah, let's look
And
at
if you
Momo
guys-
first.
If you guys do play it, you won't be the only people.
Joe, you and me.
Hey man, if you can convince me,
You guys know
I'm
Kamari.
open to it.
You guys know Kamari?
I do.
Yeah, he was on Twitter looking for cards for that deck.
Really?
If
If we're talking about what we're talking about.
yes,
Just
I
go
think
ahead and
let's-
spill it, Bradley. Just spill it.
Oh,
What
we're
is it?
spilling it now? No, I
No,
gave
okay,
a teaser,
higher.
and now I ruined the order of our podcast.
it's
I'm so
fine.
sorry.
No,
No,
it's
we
all
gotta talk
good.
about Mardu Discard or
yeah,
Momo
let's
right
talk
now.
about Mardu
Which-
Discard first.
Momo. Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, we teed the people up.
So it's pretty standard list. I think that did the right thing in playing a 21st land. I think a lot of people were getting greedy with their mana and only trying to play 20 lands. So I've got respect for the 21st land, maybe even the 22nd. But Momo, Quantum Riddler, 4 Sage of the Skies, 4 Starfield Shepherd. I like 2 Aang, having a little bit of interaction. 2 Cosmogran Zenith, 2 Hylia, 2 Nurturing Pixie, and a Gran. I was befuddled by the one of Gran. Maybe just another 1-drop to kind of help smooth things out. I don't know.
Peregrine's nice with the Springleaf Drone. I don't know. if
That's
he-
that's true.
That's
yeah,
why-
that's
that's why-
probably it.
that's
right?
why it's in there, right? Because you
Yeah.
can search it. You can search it up with Starfield Shepherd, and you
Okay.
get to loot with the drum. It's pretty
Oh, yeah.
solid
All right.
from when I've watched play of this deck.
And then 4 Drum, 2 Erode, 2 Seam Rip for interaction, 4 Daydream to scam your stuff, and then 2 Practice Offense to Alpha Strike your opponent. I got turn 2. Here's a 5/6 or 5/7 Quantum Riddler. Good luck, and I scooped him up. So I
That's tough.
was playing Elementals, and I was like, I don't think I have any outs to this. Like, I can draw a deceit and bounce it and then maybe come back, but I didn't really have a fast start with that hand. I kept a hand that had interaction, but it didn't have any of my accelerants. So I was getting cooked. Didn't know what my opponent was on, so I scooped it up. Well, what do you guys think about this list? I love it. It seems fun. I love the scam effects. I loved playing, elementals in modern.
Yeah, I mean, it's lacking the prism element of High Noon that was a characteristic of the Seven Faust list, but
Yeah.
so, I would say High Noon is probably pretty important into the is it variants like prowess and lessons, but in exchange you're sort of having this more over the top potential that the Cosmic Ring Zenith and offers you.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to be sort of and practice off it. So it's really sort of a meta dependent situation. It seems to me at least, whether or not you want to be doing the scam stuff and trying to get on the battlefield quick, or if you want to be prison and lock your opponent out with even interrupters.
Yeah, I think both are reasonable. I think if you expect a lot of prowess, this deck is pretty well positioned against that. Turn 2 Sage of the Skies is pretty good.
It's still good. Still stands the test of time.
Yeah.
It seems fun. I'm not really sure if we have enough data to be sure how it does against. I think the Sage of the Skies is better against prowess, but I'm not sure if the clock on this is fast enough for like the landfall decks. But I don't know. Something to think about.
Sort of looking at the sideboard, I think maybe like with Clarion Conqueror as a 3-of,
Yeah.
that's sort of where they're targeting the rhythm in the landfall decks, just to lock you out of being able to use your Badgermole Cups pretty well. Yeah, you highlighted Pyrrhic Strike. I think seems like it's going to be a card for landfall if you are able to get both modes on a Earthbender's Ascension and one of their 4 toughness. Man about so. Thinking about the Harmonizer, the Ice Till, and even you could get the Hydra with that based on
Right. Yeah.
mana value. I confuse it with Destroy Evil.
And then potentially take out a
mana value is nice.
and then potentially take out a like an Earthbender's Ascension, or maybe a Sapling Nursery, or a Lumbering Whirl Wagon. Yeah, all solid points there. But I agree. I'm trying to think of this hide on the ceiling. What do we? That's maybe for control.
I think maybe it's another sort of blink effect in your deck that is hoping to blink things, but it's a flicker, I guess. It's a slower blink. But against control, where you can sort of as
hide
opposed to
your team
countering
from a wrath.
You blink them out and then come back in. You get your ETBs again. Something between Stroke, Pierce, No More Lies. There's you got tools for control.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there ever a world where you're using that to clear all the blockers and just win?
Could be
I
as well.
think so.
I think so.
But I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little
Most
bit
of your
more.
stuff's flying anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think you
So
want to
this-
clear
this-
blockers there. Yeah, I don't know if you
This
want to
is
clear
the exact
blockers
75 that won London?
there. Yes.
Correct.
This is
so-
his list.
I'll have to go back and watch the coverage of that event and see if we ever had a hide on the ceiling appearance.
Yeah. I was messing with this card for a time. I thought it was
mean,
pretty good, but
it seems really good against Mardu discard. Just blink your stuff, comes back without the counters.
Like Moon Shadows, yeah.
Yeah, reset the Moon Shadow, reset Mako.
And,
speaking of Mardu
bad.
discard,
yeah, let's take a peek.
what do you think, Pete? This is kind of your realm.
Oh, I love this. Been playing it on Arena. I beat a turn 2 Riddler with this list.
Ooh.
How'd you do that?
I just leveled up Cool but Rude and was just discarding stuff and did more damage to him than he could to me before the game ended.
Were you gaining some life with Hardened Academic or anything? Did that come into play?
Yeah. With practice offense is great.
Okay.
Right, just like discard it, cast it, lifelink, double strike.
Seems good.
Won a game this morning. I went turn 1 Mako, turn 2 Hardened Academic, turn 3 win. For like 18 damage or something on turn 3. Discarded everything, cast practice offense, and
Double strike.
It was
The modality of this card is, I think, very good, and the fact that it has flashback, like
flashback for 2 is great. I like the inclusion of Carnage too.
Got the,
Why do they?
spoiler.
Yeah, that's so funny, dude. So when Carnage enters return, target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, it gains. This creature attacks each combat if able, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it with Mayhem of red-black. So you can Mayhem this thing, discard it, and then get 2 things back.
Yeah, so say before
pretty
combat,
good.
you got the Hardened Academic out, you discard a Tursa, you discard that, you cast that, bring the Tursa back to get 2 more triggers.
Popping off.
Do some crazy stuff, yeah.
I will say I do think this configuration, not necessarily that it's playing Mardu, but just I think the versions of this deck previously, Rakdos discard, where it was playing Monument, just the Monument was a little, it's quite strong when it gets going, but it sort of set up these clunky situations where instead of putting another threat on the board on 3, you just tap out, play this artifact, and you sort of give your opponent a little bit of breathing room for them to stabilize, come back, and this list seems very good at just keeping the pressure on.
Yeah. Every time you cast a practice offense from the grave, you put a counter on something if you have an academic out. Every time a Bloodghast comes back, you put a counter on something if you have an academic out. And like Bradley was saying, the Monument lists, if you play Monument, you had to have an elf or a flail out.
Right.
You give them before you cast the Monument, or you do give them a chance to.
It's another card that didn't make the cut from previous iterations to this list is the Conquistador's
The
flail.
flail, yeah. Yeah, I think that Hardened Academic is a big deal because you get another discard outlet. It's in the form of a threat that, there was almost, and it's kind of the same thing with Monument. Like, you could play Monument, but then it wouldn't do anything by itself. You had to have something else for it to work together. Same thing with the flail. Like, you had to have another discard outlet, but it wasn't a threat unless you had another creature. Like, it can prove your threats, right? Where these things individually are much better. Same thing with Cool But Rude. Like, yeah, Cool But Rude, you have to be attacking to get the triggers, but it does have that third chapter, which is fairly cheap, where, like, worst case scenario, you can go get a Bloodghast, right, and put it into your graveyard if you don't have anything else going on, and shock your opponent. But
Or go get a Carnage and then
Or-
just rebuild.
there you go.
I beat Jeskai Control yesterday. They had 2 Console of Authorities out. Like, well, there goes my haste creatures, but I figured it out anyway. It's like,
Jeez.
I'll just get Cool But Root out and figure it out from here.
Oh man, it's pretty sick.
as you see meta shifts in the white decks from not playing Get Lost to playing Erode, you can see these enchantments are going to be generally a little more safe than they had been in previous versions of this format. So, like, if you're a control opponent, in the past, if you try to level it up, they'll hit you with a Get Lost. That would sort of be a little bit of a blowout. But now, if they're only playing Erode, it's smooth sailing for enchantments like Cool But Rude and maybe others in the format too. We'll have to see.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
No, I want to talk to the people who play this deck and built it, because I'm not a fan of the Leyline of the Voids.
Ooh.
I agree. Why are they playing 4 Leyline of the Void?
I've sided it in, but then I'm like, this hand's great. I can win. I don't want a mulligan for a Leyline here.
Yeah. Is it because they're just trying to go fast and they don't want to dedicate the mana? Like, I mean, in Leyline of the Void, it's good against, like, a Reanimator list, but that's such a small percentage of the meta. I don't think you need the sideboard slots for it. I think you just try to kill your opponent. But maybe you do. Maybe it's just like an auto loss. I don't know. And then it's good against Lessons, but...
And Spelementals.
Oh, I guess it's good against Spelementals too, yeah. Forgot about that
So
one.
I can see why. And then they're spending a bounce spell on that instead of one of your creatures, and you're just going to kill them. So, makes
So
sense.
what would you play instead? Like a Soul Guide Lantern?
Yeah, split between Soul Guide and Ghost Vacuum. Open up 2 more slots in the sideboard for something.
I
But
guess the
that
logic
could.
here.
No, go ahead.
Finish your thought,
Go ahead.
Pete. I'm sorry.
No, I was just
The
going to
logic
say.
here. Over to you. I'm not. I'm covering my mouth.
All right, I was just going to say that maybe the ley lines are correct. They did. They made it to the finals. So, but then go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bradley.
results-based thinking. No, no, no. I was jumping in. I think the idea of leyline over something like Rest in Peace is that if you have it turn 1, you can still do your, turn 0. I mean, you can still do your regular curve out, and this deck is less punished than other decks for drawing them later because of all of the rummaging that they have access to. Is sort of, just looking at this deck list is maybe the theory that's behind it. I would, having to, when you're an aggressive deck, having to take turn 2 off to cast a Rest in Peace, or wait till turn 3 to play it in a 1-drop just really impacts the ability of your clock when you have a low to the ground curve like Mardu Discard does.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I was thinking of.
Yeah, that perfect.
I don't I don't know necessarily if it's something where you have to mulligan for it. Like I think in your example, Pete, keeping a functional hand still seems like the way to go, and just you hope based on the rummaging effects you have access to that drawing a ley line later on is not going to hurt you too bad.
Correct.
All I know is it looks super fun, and I would like to play some games with or against it before Cincy, if we have the time.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, it's fun.
So what do you guys say we talk about what we would play going into the weekend? Bradley, spoilers.
Yeah, no, I don't. To any listener of the podcast, you don't have to follow me into the dark. This is just where I'm at personally. But I'm
All
a
good.
big enjoyer of the is it 4-color elementals deck, Roman Throne, Wistfulness, Vibrance, and Deceit, and Sunderflock. The gang is all here.
The gang is here.
Yeah, I mean, this the positives of this deck, I will say, is that when you're doing your thing, you feel like you can address anything. The spread of the elementals that you have between, Wistfulness going after artifacts, enchantments, Deceit going after the hand, and also bouncing their permanents. It feels like no matter what, no matter like who you're up against, you feel like, oh, I have the tools, I can fight, I have the answers. You sort of need a lot to be going well for you. Like you gotta having those 2 drops on turn 2 and having them live. That's really important as well. So it's I find it a lot of fun. I have a great time when I play that deck. I did play it in the Sunday 2.5K at the NRG Indy. We were a smaller event, so I was able to win my first 3 rounds and then draw the next 2 to make top 8.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah. And then I was dispatched by Lessons in top 8. Normally, I feel like it's a matchup that's okay, but just the way things came together, you gotta answer based on their list where they only had 3 monuments and no storm chasers. I was really holding my wistfulnesses to try to once the monument come down, that's when I'll get it, and then they won't have any win cons. Well, my opponent was wise to my antics, and they waited to turn where they could then I had no threats going on because I was just holding these wistfulnesses. They waited till a turn where they had could deploy monument, and then 3 steps ahead copy the monument discard, and so
Yeah.
I was taking too much damage by that point. Wistfulness can only do so much.
That's kind of my experience. Played our local store championship. It was a small tournament, but in that tournament, I played Is It Lessons 3 times, and I was also playing Spell Elementals I'm not sorry, 4-color Elementals because I didn't have anything else built. And I went,
1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and 2 in matches, 4 and 6 in games against it. What you got there? Pit of Offerings?
I brought out my friend. Yeah, the pit.
Yeah.
You got to know about this one.
I 100% agree. And my perspective is that a lot of the times you just want to get rid of their discard outlet, which is Artist Talent. Let's get this thing out of here, especially if they level it up. Then it's like, If they don't have a monument on the battlefield, I'm taking out Artist Talent. And sometimes I think it's even correct, even if they have a monument, if they don't have any other discard outlets, I think it still is correct sometimes to take out the Artist Talent because they're not going to be able to activate the monument. But it's tough. It's tough. So not 100% sure what the right answer is. What kind of sideboard or what kind of graveyard hate did you have in the sideboard?
Okay. I have one main deck pit. I have the second pit sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of situations where, against those graveyard heavy decks that you want to be able to search up the second pit with a Vibrance. I had a Soul Guide Lantern, and then I had Dauntless Scrapbot. I'd seen someone else play it. Dauntless Scrapbot was actually pretty nice. Just against it can come in against prowess. I just found it nice where it's a situation where it's a creature and graveyard hate. I feel sort of there's awkward spots with Soul Guide where, you feel priced into, you'll sack it or whatever.
Yeah,
and you
to
don't
draw
get your
a card
card back. But having that 3/1, if your opponent's not doing anything else, you're attacking in. You can bounce it with your bounce offs, and if you need to replay your graveyard hate. My list has 2 basic lands, so we get a little bit of use out of the landers as well. So I found that kind of nice.
When it dies, you make a lander?
No, when it enters.
Oh, when it enters, you make a lander and exile their graveyard.
Yes.
Okay. So it's kind of like Boggart Trawler, right? It's like a colorless Boggart Trawler. It's a 3/1?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're both 3/1s for 3. Oh, yeah.
Nice. All right. You sold
something.
Me for consideration.
It's in consideration for sure. There have been spots where, in Milwaukee, I played Ghost Vacuum. I think I had 2 lanterns, 1 Ghost Vacuum, and the idea with Ghost Vacuum is that it's something that could come in against Excruciator and be an effective card there, since blue-black is not very good at answering artifacts on the battlefield. They just have to be able to bounce it, and then you can get in these late game spots where you can actually crack it and then put pressure on them that way. And with the vacuum too, you're keeping them off of being able to Spider-Man Deceit or Spider-Man Excruciator from the graveyard. So there was some utility there.
Yeah, so with elementals, I feel good against the green decks. Any green decks, I feel good against them. I feel fine against lessons, but I feel like your sideboard has to be right and things have to come together correctly. So I think they still might be ahead just a little bit. I'm fine against spell elementals, but is it prowess? I feel like we're a dog too, for sure.
That's fair. If you don't mind posting the list that I played in the, if you all want to list.
Yeah.
I played in the 2.5K. I generally feel spell elementals should be a good matchup. They have trouble sort of answering.
Agreed.
A lot of what we have going on.
Agreed. Yeah. We just get them in the late game. By the time they get going.
If you're able to sort of slow them, even just the first pit is really good at slowing them down.
Right.
And then you just have time to get set up. And then sideboard, Disdainful Stroke's a really effective card. Because it counters their threats. And just the access to graveyard hate. I found it to be generally favorable. It's not I wouldn't say it's unlosable, but I would rather be in the elemental spot than the spell elemental spot.
Agreed. I agree with that. So, and then I think against control decks, we play 4 Caverner's Souls. So it feels good there, right? But
it helps. I found control can be sort of a tougher matchup. Maybe that's just me, but just having the right way to sequence, if you have things going well, specifically Deceit, I think is really nice against control.
Yeah.
Clearing the way, but there'll be times, where you Deceit them and then they draw a stock up off the top and then they're able to do all that stuff. So it's tough to you're not, for most situations, you're able to outgrind the opposing decks effectively with what you have going on elemental wise, but against control, it's you do still have to be applying pressure, and then that's where they can get you for overcommitting, or they can get you with the Jeskai Revelation and put everything back. So I found it to be not as ideal as you would think, which in sort of the classic dichotomy of aggro mid-range control. We are a mid-range deck, and that's sort of seen as an underdog to control, but obviously it's way too general to make actionable insights on.
For sure. I just find that they have to deal with each elemental individually because they present enough of a clock individually and enough value that your deck is just kind of full of all these elementals that have to be handled. And as long as they don't get an engine going with advantage too much, but you got to have Cavern Souls. I agree. If you don't have a Cavern Souls, I don't think it's a good matchup. But if you can stick a Cavern, you usually are in decent shape.
That's pretty good at getting Cavern in play.
Yeah.
Pete, what do you think, man?
Well, I think you guys should run this.
Yeah, which is what? Mardu discard?
That's on the screen.
No. I'm looking at Bradley's list here on my phone.
Oh, okay.
From
I
that
think I'm gonna still make a couple changes. I did. There's a sideboard guide I just purchased from Respect the Cat. Just to compare notes.
Nice.
Yeah. But we'll see. I feel like I was playing some practice matchups against Landfall last night, and I was probably winning with Benji. I was probably winning more than I was losing, but at the same time, like Green is really able to. They have a lot of threats. There was a spot where it's like, all right, I think I can play it. They had only card in play was the 2 Ice Till Explorer, and I was like, okay, I'm fine to play a tap land here, and then all they had to do was put Harmonizer on the field, and then I took like a billion damage. I went to negative 50. It's that deck. Not only that though, there's like you got to be cognizant of when they Earthbend on their fetch lands, and then if they have Earthbender Recessive out, like can they get to the 4 counters on the Earthbender? Like how much +1/+1 are they actually doing? If they have a Chocobo, it's like you got to know what their deck is doing to be able to fight against it effectively. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a slow start against Landfall the other day, and they're just bossing, say, on Escape Tunnel every turn, and I'm like, next thing you know, they have like 12 lands in play. I'm like, all right, cool.
It's a lot of lands.
So I'm in between. I'm going to see how 4-color control goes tonight. I'm going to give that a try, and then I have this pretty much put together as a fallback if I don't like the way 4-color control feels. And I also want to see how Mardu Discard feels too. I need to get some reps though, so we'll see what happens between now and then.
Yeah,
Pete, what do you think?
If I was going, I'd be playing Mardu Discard or Lessons. It was a toss-up still.
Okay, so quite a spread in between all of us. All right. What do we think is going to happen in Cincy? What's going to win? What's going to be most popular stuff? Pretty typical meta. Let's do meta prediction top 3, and then we'll do winner.
Spot. Should I go first or what?
Yeah, it sounds like you got something thought up.
Okay. When we do March Madness, I basically always predict chalk. I'm like, nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I'm thinking now is basically, I think we're going to see, at least of these, we were looking at the results, right, where it's 22% prowess, 17% spellmentals, 9% landfall. I'm going to go, I think, I think it's going to be 15% each. 15% prowess, 15% spellmentals, 15% landfall.
Okay.
So, that's going to be our top 3. I don't know. Give me a plus or minus on 2%. So sure. I don't know which is going to be more or less or whatnot, but to me that makes a lot of sense. Where just having those 3 decks in the top 3 and having them really close to each other is sort of where I'm at.
Fair enough.
As for winner, could be any one of those 3 really. If Pete was attending Cincy, I'd say Mardu Discard was winning. But now I think it's just going to be one of our public enemies, one of the ones that we know is out there. Let's give it to Prowess, Surely this is the time Prowess can win a tournament. It's been the boogeyman for so long, right? And it's never actually, as far as I know, I don't think it's ever actually sealed the deal, Remember there's like the Steel Cutter RC, and I think Oculus one, or, it's just stuff happens. You never know with Magic, but this time for sure, is it Prowess? Mark it down.
Got it. All right, so I think that Spell Elementals is not going to do it. I don't know. I don't think the deck is where you want to be. I think it has a great green matchup. It's fine into prowess, but I think it's kind of bad otherwise. It's not that it's bad. I don't think it has the favorable matchup spread that you want right now. And so I'm going to kind of go out on a limb, and I think that control decks will be the third most popular deck. I'll, be hopeful. I think control will take one down here in the U.S. as well.
Nice. That's what you're going with?
Hopefully in your hands.
Yes,
Joe.
sir. Yeah.
So
Hey, hopefully.
We're picking MetaShare for the top three.
Top three, and then what do you think will win?
So top three MetaShare, not finishers, right? So top three
Yeah.
MetaShare, I'll go Selesnya Landfall 1, Prowess 2, Lessons 3.
Okay. I think Lessons will be up there as well. And what do you think's going to win?
Demir Excruciator.
All right.
Spicy.
Cool. Well, we'll see. We'll see next week when we get back together, Pete. How right or wrong we all.
That's the fun part.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we're all wrong and you guys win.
Sick. I'm down.
Joe
Split
and I
teams
meet in
with
the
Bradley
finals
in
in
the
a
finals.
4-color elemental mirror.
Yes.
Sick.
That
That
would
would
Maybe
be
it-
incredible.
be crazy.
If only we can hope. Well, guys, we've been going at it for about an hour 20. It's awesome to have you, Bradley. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience with us and talking about your history with the game. Best of luck in your future endeavors. Look forward to seeing you in the upcoming RCs. Hopefully we can team again someday in the future when I have more time or something. But
Fun time. I should give a plug because the next NRG team event is in Milwaukee.
okay.
It's either, I think it's August 1st and 22nd, if those are a Saturday and a Sunday. Check
What?
in. Yeah,
When are
22nd, 23rd. August 22nd, 23rd. It's at the Barrett Center, which is same location that the RC was at, and I think our convention center is pretty nice. August is a much more pleasant time to visit Milwaukee than February is.
Yeah.
And I did check the schedule. The Brewers are in town and at home
All right.
during that weekend and even beforehand, so should be a good time to come on down to Milwaukee.
I'll check it out. Hit me up as we get closer, and yeah, we can see. I know that's a tough time with the kids because they're about to start school, and then my wife has pre-planning as a teacher that she basically starts work, and then the kids are at home, usually trying to fight me. So we'll see. What are the formats going to be?
First, Joe. They don't announce the formats until maybe about
Get
6
close.
weeks in advance, just so that they can monitor. That's a new thing that they've been doing this year. So we'll check back in July and see what they're thinking for the formats.
Do you want to share any of your socials for the people to follow?
Oh gosh, yeah, go ahead. I don't really post all that much on social media, but you can
That's all
follow
right.
me on Twitter. This is sort of where I look at the most Magic stuff, or X, the everything app. I'm a bad social media person.
That's all right, dude.
Some of the stuff, but you can follow me at BC Schles. So that's the letters BC and then the beginning of my last name SCHLES. Yeah, I don't tweet it. I like tweets, I'll check Twitter to see what people are talking about, and but I don't really post my own. So otherwise, that's where to find me. If we become friends, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. But those, I try to keep those for.
Understood.
You guys can follow me there. You, Joe and Pete.
Will
I'm
do.
not sure about the general world.
You never know.
You never
One day.
know. It's very, very possible. That's something I really liked about Magic too. Is being part of the Collector Legion crew. Is that people get added in every day, and you never know. Like someone lifting you in the air one day is going to become one of your good friends.
Some random picking you up. Well, if you've listened thus far, we appreciate it. Please follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Blue Sky, X.
Yeah, Bradley, thank you so much for coming on, bro.
It's been a pleasure. I've had a great time. Thanks for having me, Pete and Joe. It's been my
Yes, sir.
guys.
My guys. All right, my guys. Talk to you next week.
All right, my guys, peace.